ready, so let's go ahead. We're ready.
Wonderful.
Do I have permission? Am I good?
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with just this one piece. But this is the first time, and this is the next step in the process. Our board has received information regarding the study elements for JF Webb High School and JF Webb High School Health and Life Sciences. They've heard from the public, they had a public hearing, and now this is their opportunity to discuss, deliberate, have a conversation around, and just see where we may stand. So we once again turn it over to our facilitator for the evening from RTI to guide us through that process.
All right, thank you, Dr. McLean. All right, so would like to just again state the facts moving forward. Dr. McLean mentioned the report in the public hearing, so this is your time to deliberate and have conversations around the merging of JF Webb Health and Life Sciences with the traditional high school and collapsing that school code. And you've had two pieces of bodies of evidence. You've had the report and the public hearing. So what I'd like for us to do to kind of set the stage is I would like for you individually to describe for a minute what is the most compelling argument you've heard either through the report or at the public hearing. What's the most compelling argument for the merger? And I'm calling it a merger, but I think we all understand it's collapsing the school code at JF Webb Health and Life Science, merging that student population that's already cross-enrolled, but merging that student population with the traditional high school. So take a minute, what's the most compelling argument for merging JF Webb Health and Life Sciences with JH Webb? You'll just kind of scratch down like your talking points. And then also the most compelling argument against the merger. So I'm going to kind of time you. I'm going to give you a minute. Most compelling argument for, most compelling argument against. Okay, we got 15 more seconds. Okay, so let's open the floor for the most compelling argument for. If you would, each of you like to share out, we'll do fours first and then against last, unless there's a preference for order. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Ewing.
This is for. Neither school can stand alone because of the 95% crossover. So they both have to depend on each other for their kids to have enough credits to graduate. They're going to have the same classes. Nothing is going to change academically. Be the same building, same teachers. Won't be any difference in the traffic or parking lot. And they'll have, schools will have more opportunities of different classes to take.
Thank you. Mike, did you get all that?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Can I add to that? Really, you said the first three. And my second one, next one would be, there would be any other problems that would interrupt within the school compound itself.
Say that.
There would be no other problems that would interrupt within the school itself for the same building. You really said it. It's the same building, same teachers, same class. Really, you said my co-pastor.
Okay. Anyone else compelling arguments for that's not already documented?
just the efficiencies that we would gain by collapsing that school, because they are 95% crossing road. And the whole equity piece of, because of those efficiencies, that equity could span out better, I believe.
And I would go along with what Mr. Richardson, what has been said already, that by collapsing, you would be in essence looking at for the greater good.
Focus on it. Any other compelling fours? Again, for merging the two schools, collapsing the separate school code for J.H. Webb Health and Life Sciences. Any other fours? We want to lift up. All right, let's talk about against. Compelling arguments against this topic. Yes, sir.
I think the roughly $45,000 in savings, even though I'm a money person, that's gonna be lost by watching our children leave to go to charter schools because they're not getting the things they feel they want and need in education.
That was my comment. Yeah.
Yes,
Minimum
sir, Mr.
financial
Gates.
gain.
Student will leave and $44,800 savings.
Mr. Mims, is that?
Yeah, minimal financial gain.
I've got a couple of things to say about this, but the first one is that it seems to me rather, what's the right word? Rather interesting that we keep talking about small schools and we talk about the environment. We've heard today from principals, early college. We actually have schools within schools now. When you look at the year-round schools and the traditional schools, we talk about choice. We've mentioned so many times that when people can choose, they're more committed. And so I think that is clearly a reason why that we should take a look. I also want to say that I don't think the issue of merger, to me, is really the issue. I think the issue is when. And what are the alternatives? Because in all this discussion, we're not talking about kids very often. We're talking what adults want. And I've yet to hear anybody give a compelling reason as to why we are doing this now. And let me take it a little bit further. There are three reasons why I don't think we should do this. The first reason is, does he need to catch that?
Yeah, we're waiting on your third reason. We're,
I'm gonna number.
The first reason is that there is no plan to merge these schools. When South Granville merged, it was pretty clear why, it was pretty clear that it was going to happen, the principals worked together, so on and so forth. But we had been promised in the past that there would be academies. It never happened. We have no plan, we have no direction, we have no idea how this would work, and I'll guarantee you that will drive kids away. So the fact that there is no plan for merger is a compelling reason not to do it. When we do it, that's going to happen. We know that. But certainly not until we have a plan that parents can be involved with on both sides of the aisle, so on and so forth. The second reason is that I feel like we will not as a board have kept our intent when we met and talked about this issue before. because there was consensus, and we were on that board, many of us here, about leaving that school open. And then here we are 2 years later, assuming this is what we're gonna do. I think that's a second reason. And the third one, and I'm just gonna say it, Webb has got a lot of issues to resolve. And putting this on top of Amy's work around discipline, around being in a school that's teaching the way it did 30 years ago, around student performance, she's got her hands full. And she said so the other night. For her to put together a comprehensive merger plan is asking far too much in my mind. I don't know how she could possibly do it. So, to come back, we know merger is going to happen eventually. If we want to keep the kids and give them the kind of opportunity that will meet the same needs related to the School of Health and Life Science, that's a win-win. But if we do it helter-skelter with no clear, positive, consistent, good plan, I think we're making a casual mistake.
So I want to make sure, did we get timing down as well? Because there was a timing part of that statement with the,
May I get some clarification from Dr. Houlihan?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Dr. Houlihan, I heard what you said. I'm just trying to get clear. The idea that we know is going to happen, it's a matter of timing. So I'm just trying to get clear the timing versus the district's direction versus the funding issues that we face. I mean, are we talking about trying to solve these individually, or are we solving these holistically?
Well, my overall point is that we have a school that has been successful. It's a small school. People choose that school, and regardless of what anybody says, it is working. We know that the emphasis, the direction is to merge these two schools. And I think we all understand it. But we've said that to merge the School of Health and Life Sciences with WEM at this point, and she has her hands full, and therefore no really positive long-term plan in place to do this, that's what I'm getting at.
Well, what I heard last night from the principal at Webb was that she suggested that the performance could decrease at Webb next year based on implementing programs that she's looking to do. So I'm just trying to get some sense of timing.
Well, I would say that if, not next year, but the year after would be the way to do it, if we're gonna do it. Because it gives her time, she's got her hands full. I mean, a first-year principal, high school principal, she would then have the time to put together a plan as to what she really wants, as to what we really want, and get parents involved from the School of Health and Life Sciences so that they begin to feel a sense of commitment to what's being done. Because if we do this and slam dunk it into the school next year without any real plan and just say this is the way it's going to be from this point forward, we're going to lose so many students. What are we kidding ourselves about? I mean, if you were in that situation, you'd take your kid and put them into a charter school that's open and wants them and is a small school. I mean, I just think we need to think strategically. It isn't about a question about whether or not we do it, because the inevitable is the inevitable. But if it's going to happen, it's got to be done right, and the kids are the ones that have the benefit, and that is not the case where we are right now.
But are the kids going to the health and life science because of the school name or because of the classes? They're gonna have the same classes. The only thing that would change, it would be merged into one name. So, I mean, what is the most important thing here, a school name or classes? And I feel like the classes are gonna be there for them. If they're gonna leave, we're gonna lose them anyway.
No, I disagree,
I
Dan.
don't, because there's
know.
nothing changing.
Well, I'm right, you're wrong.
But
Wait a minute, before you leave that. I don't know that, do we really know the classes will be the same? Isn't there some kind of a curriculum at the School of Health and Life Sciences that supposedly would continue?
it would continue having the same classes that they have right now, same teachers. The only thing is a name change. That is all we're looking at.
Other fours? Any guess?
Well, before you move on,
Okay.
I would like that clarified, what he just said. I guess Dr. McLean, that's not what you, middle classes, in essence, remain the same.
They remain the same.
Okay.
Everything remains the same.
The report mentioned, yeah, the
Okay.
report mentioned that.
Okay.
So everything remains the same instructionally. That means as I think the principal said, that they would have the same teachers for language arts, there would be the same 2 teachers. How would she do that? How would that be possible?
Well, those are the teachers who've been working in that program, and that is one of the guarantees we've given with this. We have no intentions on changing the experience of the students. Health and Life Sciences just will not be a school, it will be a program within the school. So the intent is for everything to remain the same, and capture money, because that's all this was really was about, was capturing money. But that's about as clear as I can make it. And the principal is here, I don't know if you'd like to speak with Angie, but
I
that's a
think that
good
would be-
piece of
yeah, that'd be
information
great.
of what would
Angie?
change. Sorry, Angie.
We're asking her to talk.
The classes would stay the same. The difference is the culture of the classes. Okay, so Webb School of Health and Life Sciences students who are in their classes, it's the expectations, it's the culture that we have created in this school over a period of time. As a program on the campus, if we continued to schedule kids so that the health and life sciences students were in those particular classes together in an academy, there wouldn't be any change. But if you completely merge the 2 schools, and so then that scheduling was, just everybody together, then you lose that culture that we have in the School of Health and Life Sciences.
But if a kid is going to excel, changing a name is going to stop them from excelling. They're going to still do the best they can in that class, regardless of who or what school. They're going to do the best that they can. I just don't see the kids saying, well, okay, the name has changed, so I'm just going to quit going to class and quit doing anything.
And is at 95% crossover now, how much change is there going to take place?
Oh, the only difference is I see the 2 schools is the culture that Ms. Salter is just talking about. There seems to be just a difference in the culture of Webb and Health and Life Sciences. Could you elaborate on that? I mean,
I can, and I was, okay. So this morning, we had, we used our Edmentum ACT prep program, and while the sophomores were taking their statewide pre-ACT test, we gathered all of the juniors on campus, and we tested them using the Edmentum ACT prep program that the district has purchased for us. I had one classroom that was half the end of the alphabet in juniors for the School of Health and Life Sciences, and the beginning of the alphabet for JF Webb. When I was in this, and the teacher facilitating was a Health and Life Sciences teacher, okay? So the teacher had given everybody logins. I was in there helping straighten out a few of the problems that were with logins that were happening. And it was night and day. Now they were seated alphabetically, you know, for testing procedures, which meant that Health and Life Science was on this side of the room and JF Webb was on this side of the room. The Health and Life Science students were logged in and quiet and focused and excited about this opportunity to take these practice tests so that this computer program would give them their prescription to work on between now and February when they take the real ACT. It sounded like a party on the other side of the room. It was not important. It was night and day in the expectation of students in this testing environment. And I attribute that to the culture that we have created in the School of Health and Life Sciences of, regardless of what you're going to go and do, this is important.
I hear what you say, but with a 95%, I would think.
Mr. Mims, the School of Health and Life Sciences has been very largely cross-enrolled since I have been there for the last 12 years, because we only offer so many electives within the School of Health and Life Sciences. Every single ninth grader is cross-enrolled to JF Webb because I don't have a PE teacher, and they have to take health and PE. 100% of ninth graders. In the last 3 years, as we lost ADM, the School of Health and Life Sciences lost 2 teaching positions, okay? And in losing those 2 teaching positions, we lost 8 elective courses, to include honors chemistry 2 and AP chemistry and honors physics and AP physics. Some higher level elective courses. But if you lose those staffing positions and those electives, those students then have to fill their schedule by taking electives elsewhere on the campus. I have the Project Lead the Way biomedical sciences teachers who offer electives for our school, and I have Spanish. And those are the only 2 elective teachers that I have.
Ms. Salisbury, in the original presentation we had, y'all had the graphical laid out of the academies. Can we accomplish what you're accomplishing now in these academies, knowing that over the course of the next year or so, we're hoping there will be a culture shift at Big Web as well? Let's just throw out a scenario. If we kept Health and Life Science the way it is for this year, maybe even into next year, would that give you and Principal Rice enough time to get these academies laid out, prepared, and working on the culture piece, you think?
So if we're going to have district-wide choice fairs at the end of November, it would be impossible for myself and Principal Rice to present at the district-wide choice fairs exactly, you know, we could give them an idea, but I can't guarantee that that would come to fruition, right? If we had a year planning time, then we probably could work
And
together.
do you think your parents would buy into the academy model versus a separate school?
Yes, presented in the right way, with the right information, I believe that they would.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
What's the enrollment, again, you shared that with us, what's the enrollment of Health and Life Sciences?
224.
224. Okay, and what's the enrollment of Web, Big Web, or JF Web? Dr. Winmore?
Roughly 575, I think. Total on campus, we have around 700 students.
708 total, so yeah, about,
Okay. Thank you.
I think the thing here is, as you talk, I want to make sure we're real clear. This is, how I feel is that if a plan can be put together that is, people buy into and know about it before the academies begin, I think that this could be very successful. It isn't about a change in name. It's about the fact that parents chose something, kids chose something, and now we're taking it away from them abruptly. Think about that from just the way we think standpoint. So I don't think we're arguing here, discussing about the name of the school or anything of that nature. It is when it would happen and whether or not we slam dunk it next year or we take a year and have their staff plan it, put it together, what it would look like, how it would operate. And I think that's a win-win. That's what I think. Are you surprised?
So any other compelling arguments for or against before we move into action steps, which is what Dr. Houlihan was moving us to? And the reason we're having these is because I think that helps you figure out what the next action steps are. Yes, sir, Mr. Peace. Were you gonna say something? Mr. Mance?
I was
Okay.
going to say, and Mrs. Smith has alluded to it several times, this has been about costs. And I understand we say that we were talking about only 44K. Well, if we don't get the 44K there, we're gonna have to get it from someplace. If we're going to meet the goal of the 955, 770. So
So we'll put that on the board.
the idea is, are we really serious or not?
Well, and are we really serious about the commitment we made to this school a few years ago?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because Mr. Rivers had sent out something that showed where there were minutes. I don't know, Attorney Duberson, maybe you might want to chime in on this. To what degree of commitment does a board have to something that a previous board made that was not a contract or not a policy?
Well, not a contract, not a policy, and to my recollection, not a,
It was something in the minutes, so
Right.
can we do something in our minutes to commit a board 2 or 3 years down the road?
You could vote to, yes. You were not-
That we,
Oh, I'm sorry, I
a
thought you
new
were asking,
board?
could we
Yeah.
change that decision now?
in other words, that a board that comes up 5 years from now that might have different people up there,
Well,
can we
so
do
there are
something tonight to commit them?
Well, you do it all the time, I mean, there are some decisions that are
No,
irrevocable.
that's not a
but-
policy or not a contract.
So again, there are some decisions that are irrevocable, but could you now take action that was different from what that board did? Absolutely. Because,
So we are entitled to take action different
absolutely.
than that board. Okay.
Do we have to vote on that?
Well, the question is, my understanding is the question of,
Yes.
okay.
I'd just like to make a statement, because I keep hearing money. But 2.5 years ago, you developed a board to look into saving some money and merging of the schools, and we did. Merging of South Granville and merging of Webb was not any savings whatsoever, and it's still not that much. Those two schools were not looked at as far as savings. They were looked at merging to do away with the duplications of paperwork, the crossovers of each school, because the majority of the kids at each school, you ask them, where do you go to school at? Well, they think, they're thinking one school.
No,
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 sir.
no, no.
But 2 years ago, we were ready to merge these two schools. And we were asked by the administration to hold off 1 year so they could look at academies. That didn't happen. The new administration come in, principal was charged to look at academies. It didn't happen. So I think the time we have showed that we have given. So my question is, how much more time do we
Well,
need?
Danny, you just said it. We were supposed to have academies put in place, and they were never done.
Exactly.
So-
But how
so-
much more time do we need to wait? I mean, we waited 2.5 years.
We didn't get what we were supposed to get.
Exactly.
So, because we didn't get that, I guess I don't follow your logic.
Well, I think, you know, assuming that if we had gotten what we asked for, we would have made a different decision. That's not necessarily so either. I mean, that's not hypothetical, I guess, but.
What is wrong? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, maybe, you need to say what you gotta say before I finish.
What is wrong with having a plan developed and put in place like you would do at your organization, I certainly would do in my organization? What is wrong with taking the time to put together a good plan that we know is going to be implemented, that for the third time we won't be told something that didn't happen? What is wrong with doing that for a year?
Well, I don't have a problem with you saying except for the time. I mean, if you put a time on it, I mean, we charged this administration with a lot of stuff already. And, I mean, do we want to actually put a time limit on what it's going to take to implement these a program, or maybe more than one? I don't know. I think the idea is fine to look at doing that, but I don't think if we say, you need a year to do this, it may be enough time, we may not. But I think we need to get reports at some point and say, this is what we have. It might be 6 months from there, it might be 18 months from there, I don't know.
Well, yeah, if they can't do it in a year. But anyway, I understand what
But you
you're saying.
gotta prioritize, I mean, they have to prioritize too.
So what would we want as action steps moving forward?
Punt.
Well, I think that's what Mr. Yu was talking about, was kicking the can. Yeah.
Let's just take $1 million out of fund balance and go home. And then all of this discussion is moot.
Well,
My solution, that would have
let's
to count the commission for $1 million.
At this point, the facilitation
And that
process.
committee.
Yes, all I
Just
want.
because at some point, obviously, the board moves to motions or not
Correct,
motions.
correct. And that's what I'm trying to get to.